Good morning, world. Today we're going to talk about 5 things that you can do or should be doing if you are diagnosed with a mental illness or a mental health issue. Because anytime you get a diagnosis, whether it's physical or mental health related, it's usually difficult to handle. It's anxiety producing. And there are a gazillion organizations that we go to that we all know to go to for many of the physical diagnoses that one can get, but it's not as widely publicized for mental health related issues. So today we're going to go over just 5 little steps that you can take if you are diagnosed with a mental health issue. First one is to do some research on your diagnosis, because one of the reasons that we're so anxious about it, one of the reasons that it's so hard is that a lot of times we don't know what's going on, we don't know what the illness is, and we don't know what to expect of it. Taking some time to do some research on your diagnosis will help give you a better idea of, this is what's happening in my body, these are the things that I'm going to be seeing, or these are the things that I have been seeing which are a symptom of this particular diagnosis, and these are the changes that I'm going to be making, helping you understand the diagnosis. And the other part is being very discriminative about what research you're where you're doing your research, because there are a lot of resources online, but not all of it is good. There's a lot of information that's just some guy venting, this woman who was mad about something, this woman who's talking out of both sides of her mouth, or whatever it is. So you want to make sure that your research is vetted. You're getting your information from credible sources. NIMH, actually more specifically, the National Institute for Mental Health is a good resource, a good place of finding current data, current statistics, especially about different mental health issues. Your local university library or your college library, they will have more of the academic research on the illness, and hospitals or clinics that have a mental health unit, they may be a good source of getting information. Of course, any government organization that has a social service department should be able to point you to at least some information. But I would say NIH and your local university or hospital libraries would be good places to start. Next thing is research recommended treatments as well as medications if you're going to be taking medication. You want to do that part of the research. One, it really lets you know, hey, people are living with this. There is treatment for this. There are resources to help me manage the symptoms. So really take a good chunk of time to dedicate to finding or reading up on the treatment methods, and that will also allow you to be more engaged in your treatment with your provider, whether you're seeing a therapist and a psychiatrist or just one of the two. It allows you to understand what it is that they're talking about, and when they tell you something, you can go and look it up and just kind of be more clear about it, because sometimes even though patients don't get exactly what is said, they'll say okay but not really know fully what they just agreed to. So take time and do research on recommended methods. And so sometimes the recommended method is not just going to be the clinical stuff, it's not just going to be the medicinal stuff. Part of it will involve, you'll find information on certain diets that help, certain non-clinical things, life changes that can assist. All those little things you're going to find when you research recommended treatment and medications. Next is finding a local organization that helps with your particular diagnosis, because we don't know them. We don't know the Susan G. Komen of depression. We don't know what particular organization everywhere that addresses each illness. But taking the time and going to your local organizations, one good place to start to find your local organizations would be your county's social services department. But most counties or most cities have a social service component, and they will be able to help you. If you look around, you'll find most counties or cities have a mental health association. Go to them, talk to them, find out what organizations, what small groups are around your area that are helping people with whatever it is that you're diagnosed with. And one of the reasons you want to do this is because if for nothing else, the camaraderie of knowing other people who are successfully living with whatever it is that you've been diagnosed with, seeing people thriving with that particular diagnosis can help. But these are also going to be good resources for finding the new, less known home remedies that are helping, life changes that are helping people manage symptoms or reduce symptoms of that particular diagnosis. And you'll find this from these people because a lot of them have been living with the illness longer. They've had relatives that they've been helping with the illness longer. So they have resources that may not yet be in the books, that may not yet be clinically known or clinically recommended. But hey, if you know that cutting sugar out of your diet helps reduce the symptoms of ADHD, it's nice to know. Now, of course, we know that, but at the very beginning, it wasn't as well known. And one of the things that I found a few years ago was that a more organic diet helps some kids with ADHD, but parents were finding that by communicating and working with other parents whose children had ADHD. So local organizations are very helpful. Next is finding and bringing in a confidant. This is very important because when you first get a diagnosis and you're processing it and you're trying to figure out and you're trying to accept what's going on, it's hard to just do it by yourself. It's very helpful if you have a friend, someone in your corner, someone in your life that you can go to. If only to vent, sometimes you just may need them to let you know it's gonna be okay. And sometimes you need them to sit there and listen to you just talk about it for an hour because you know what, it bothers you that much. Having a confidant, someone you know that you can talk to them about anything and everything, and once you tell them, hey, this right now is just between me and you know that it's going to be just between me and you because they're not going to be sharing your information with other people. So you need to make sure you have at least one of those people in your life. And finally, live your life. A mental health diagnosis does not mean the end of your life. It simply means the end of life without resources. Because prior to your diagnosis, you've always had the symptoms, or at least as long as they've been coming, you've had the symptoms. But now, having a diagnosis means the end of life without resources. Now you have resources, you know what's going on, you know how to deal with it, and you are going into a new life of managed symptoms. That's what a diagnosis is. The end of life without resources and entering life with resources. The better, happier, more easily managed life where you know what's going on and how to deal with it. So live your life, continue to have the healthy, happy life that you've always had. So to recap, do some research on the diagnosis. Make sure you're going to the more reliable sources such as NIMH or even APA or NASW, those types of places that have research, refereed research. 2, look at the research on the medication and the recommended treatment methods. Especially if you're taking medication, you really want to make sure that you understand the medication and what's going on with them, and even any other home remedies, lesser known things that are helping people manage symptoms. You want to know those as well. And get to know your local organizations that help people with your diagnosis, because that's a good place to find good resources, community people resources to help you know more, help you understand what's going on, and commiserate if you need to. Just the camaraderie of it is great. Bring in a confidant, because sometimes you just need to let it out, and you need to know that there's someone there that you can let it out with, and that is not going to be sharing your information with the world until you are ready to be the one to put out that information. And finally, live your life. Be happy, because now you have the resources to deal with whatever those symptoms were that you've been trying to manage on your own for this however long it was. Now that you have resources, life is going to be better. That is all we have for today. Good morning, world. Have a great day.